Hey, what's up, guys? Sunday, members only, free to the public. As you can see me rocking my Brewers hat today. The Brewers and Dodgers played a awesomely exciting game last night in extras. I don't know who saw it and who didn't, which leads me to a question for both you and for the public before we get into our baseball discussion for the day. The new extra inning rules. You like them? Not like them? For me, I get tradition, but I think it's so much more exciting to watch extra innings now for baseball than it was where you didn't know if it was going to go on for like 5 hours and it might be nobody, just everybody striking out. So I personally love them. You want to go back to the old rules and playoffs? I'm on board, but I like the new extra inning rules.
In a whole, I think it's good. I mean, I definitely like it better than the whole that through because, like you mentioned, turns into almost like a home run derby with guys just trying to hit a solo home run, tons of strikeouts, the least exciting baseball you'll see. That said, I do think it adds an element of what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Gimmick?
Yeah, it's gimmicky. I mean, only because you work so hard to get to that point. And now so many random things can happen with a runner on second. But like everything in life, nothing's going to be perfect. So I definitely think it's a step in the right direction. They need more stuff like this to get the younger fans involved as well. Like everyone hates the old innings where, like you mentioned, you don't know if the game's going to be over in the 10th inning or the 20th inning. That's a problem.
Right? Like back in the day for extra innings in the regular season, like especially if it was like a West Coast game, for example, or something like that, like I'm out. I'm going to bed. I don't care. I'm not going to sit around for 4 hours to watch one of 162 games. Like last night watching the Dodgers and Brewers go back and forth, that was appointment television for me. So I like it. I think it's exciting, although this is one where, unlike having old people as umpires trying to eyeball things and it's dumb, I get the traditional sense.
Sure. Only because, like, if you look at it, like, regardless of whether the fun or more exciting you can do, like I think the real way to do it is to just play through it. Become to, like you said, such an issue where the change is needed.
Agreed. All right, guys, let's move into the DFS slate for today. I mentioned it yesterday. I'll mention it today. We got a PayPal and a Venmo address below. If you want the rest of the season of the NBA, this is just for NBA. $25. You can send it via PayPal or Venmo. We'll get you the password, or we'll get you a password. That'll cover playoffs and regular season. This is the part of the video where I toot my own horn. 2 GPP wins 3 years in a row in the playoffs because a lot of DFS touts don't get the difference between the regular season and the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Started talking about it a little bit yesterday when we were talking about Nurk, and that got me pumped and thinking about it for sure.
All right, amen. Let's talk about pitchers today, guys. We liked Max last time out, and Vladimir Guerrero absolutely made him his little bitch. He's going to be the chalky pitcher on the day it appears. He's sub 10K. I'm a huge Max fan. Before looking into ownership percentages, I already liked him, and knowing that he's going to be chalk, I think you lock him in cash games. But there are other options at pitching if you don't feel like you're sold on Max Scherzer.
I'm pretty sold. I love Scherzer. I hate spending elite money in these spots against the Marlins where they're going to be so chalky, and the matchups probably the public thinks it's a little bit better than it is. But that said, we love starters like this coming off bad performances. He's my top pitcher on the slate. I mean, I definitely think there's other guys you can look at. I don't think you have to lock him in. I mean, I think if you want to get different, you can do that. But Scherzer's got the highest upside on the slate, and he looks like the top option at very affordable 9,700. That's the other thing.
Yeah, again, I like him a lot. Lock him in for cash games. He's Max. We're both monster fans. And I like his counterpart in this game as well. I'm just becoming a bigger and bigger Trevor Rogers fan. I hate to break it down this simply. He's really good.
Yeah, I've become a big fan as well. I've used him a bunch. Doesn't throw a ton of pitches. Like, obviously, that 95, I feel like it's going to be that high point. That said, he's now cheaper than he was last start in a fine matchup against the Nationals. He's definitely in play for me. There's a few pitchers in play on this slate, but he's definitely in play.
So these two bounced off the screen to me right away, but then I got down to Javier, and I became interested in Christian Javier as well for a variety of reasons. One, he's just been fantastic. Good strikeout stuff. And Tampa Bay is struggling. Over the past week, I think they're 2-5 and haven't scored more than 2 runs in all. I think they've scored 2 runs or less in all but one game. So a struggling team, a hot pitcher, a team that strikes out a lot in a pitcher's park. I'm also a little interested right here in a fraction of the ownership of Max.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's been awesome. I would like him last time, didn't use him. I don't think I will use him over Scherzer. The idea of pairing them, or if you want to use him over Scherzer, do your thing. I do think though, like this is an interesting point. I've kind of been thinking about this morning. Like the younger generation, and every year that goes by, DFS becomes a little bit younger because that's just the natural progression in life. Like they don't respect Scherzer as much as like we do, me and you, and like guys our age, in my opinion. So I don't know. I don't think the allure of Scherzer is what it was 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, maybe to a segment of the younger population, I can get that. Giolito is also supposed to be very, very popular today. And I get it. I'm a Giolito fan, but there's nothing that he has done this year that makes me want to roster him over Max Scherzer or Trevor Rogers. I get it if you like him. Your Cleveland Indians are a mediocre offense, we'll say. For me, I like Rogers and Scherzer better. I like Javier better. So Giolito will be relatively popular today. I'm not interested enough to play him over those guys.
Yeah, me neither. He's definitely not a guy I'm looking at here. There's other guys I like more than him besides the guys you mentioned. I like Ian Anderson more than him. I like who is the other guy? I think I like Manaea more than
I like
Nally and Manaea. So yeah, Giolito is like not even really on my list. But I think the big wild card, the elephant in the room, is this Bettinger for the Brewers.
Manaea is not on the slate.
Weird. He's gonna stuff, so I guess toss that out.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know a thing about Bettinger. I can't imagine his leash is crazy long, but the Brewers did also eat a lot of their bullpen last night.
So I found out someone messaged me a little bit about Bettinger saying throws two different breaking balls, a curveball that flashes above average, and a slider with cutter-like action that plays nicely off his fastball. A changeup gives Bettinger a usable fourth pitch. He knows how to mix his pitches and throws a lot of strikes, showing above average control and solid command. He finished among Southern League leaders in starts, tied for first with 26, strikeouts, second with 157, whip, second, 1.07, innings, second, 146 and a third, opponent average, and ERA. Man, I think both sides of this game are wildly in play, Bettinger and the Dodgers.
I agree. We've talked about first starts like this before several times, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen it go two different ways. I don't know Alec Bettinger. I'm pretty sure you don't know him either. We don't know what kind of stuff he's made of. He could go out and dominate a struggling Dodgers team today. Mookie Betts led off the game with a home run last night, and it definitely seemed like, maybe the Dodgers will have something going today. Well, not much after that, right? Like, this is the reason this game was, went into extras before any, runs really started coming in. They have been cold for a while now. They now have to drop 3 straight to my Brewers. I get it. I like the other pitching options on this slate enough that I don't think I need the pay down options, but I definitely understand a starting pitcher with good strikeout stuff against a struggling team, even though that team is pretty darn good still.
For sure. It's risky as hell, but he's 4K. So I think that's all it is. And I think that if I'm on he's definitely the option. I don't even think there's a question about that personally.
Like if you're dropping way down, like below Mally.
Yeah, way down below below Mally. Anyone below Mally, I think he's the guy personally.
And we barely glossed on him. He's another guy I like a lot. Mally's been impressive this year. The Cubs are a high strikeout team. It's a small sample size, but in both of his home starts, he struck out 9 players or 9 opponents. So, I don't think he's a must or anything like that. And I slightly prefer Trevor Rogers at the same price, but I like Mally a lot also. And if you got a high-priced guys you want to get offensively, I don't hate the combination of Mally with Rogers.
No, I don't either. I mean, I think Mally's in play for sure. There's just I like the other guys more. Scherzer, Rogers, you mentioned, Ian Anderson, who I like, man. He's coming off a really good start. He's looked a lot better his past two. Obviously, it's a tough spot, but I'm a fan of these really good arms in tough spots. I just don't know if I can get to Mally here, but I certainly get why you like him. What about Kluber?
I can't do it.
Same.
I got other pitchers. Detroit sucks. I ended up going with Tyon yesterday during the day. He was very good. Watched a lot of that game, and the Tigers are god awful. But I just have no faith in Corey Kluber at this point. And maybe on a different slate where I didn't like other SPs, but like, how can I play Corey Kluber over Malley or Rogers? This is not
For sure.
2016.
And it sounds like I like Anderson, like you like Malley. So I'm with you.
Yeah, I like Anderson as a pitcher. I've been burnt by Toronto like 3 or 4 times already this year, so I'm just done picking on him, especially in this ballpark.
I get it.
So understandable, though. I like Ian Anderson as a pitcher as a whole, though, no doubt about it.
For sure.
So I guess gun to head, if I was making a lineup right now, it would be Max and Rogers. But I also I like Javier a lot, and I like Malley quite a bit. It sounds like
I might just run. I'm big on Anderson, but I could see myself just running all Max and Rogers.
Feel pretty comfortable with that. Trevor Rogers is no joke.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I've used him like every start this year, I think.
All right, so let's move over to offenses for the day, and let's just pretend that we're going with this pitching combination that we like a lot, so we can get you guys an idea of where we're at from a salary cap perspective. Before we get into the individual games, I know you messaged me Friday night that used this Alex Kirilloff, and he hit 2 home runs, missed a third one got robbed of a home run, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he got robbed. I didn't see it, but it was right at the wall.
Okay, so he damn near went yard 3 times on Friday, went yard again yesterday. Brad Keller has struggled this year. For me, this is a great place to pay down right now. You got a hot hitter against a struggling pitcher. He's 3K, dual eligible.
Yeah, he makes a ton of sense in any sort of optimal line. I think Minnesota stacks for sure in play as well. So, yeah.
Absolutely, and we'll get to the rest.
One of my favorite stacks on the board, actually.
I'm also interested, and we'll get there momentarily because that is one of the offenses I'm looking at. There's not a lot of offenses I love today. Looks like the Cardinals are going to get a little bit of love, specifically like a Dylan Carlson, Tommy Edman, for example. I'm sure, a few people will use Goldie. He's far from a priority for me, but he did get going yesterday if you're looking for a reason to use him.
This is not for me. I'm not using it over, they're going to be too popular for what they are, I think.
Look, man, you know my rule on the Cardinals. Yeah. I don't play them very often. But if you want to one-off Dylan Carlson at 3,300, do your thing.
Sure, for sure. There's other spots I like more, so that's all it is.
In a GPP one-off, Gregory Polanco. Look, he's never amounted to what they had hoped he'd become, which is like a perennial all-star, almost like a 30-30 type of guy. But Carlos Martinez is also not what he once was. And throughout their careers, Polanco has owned.
Oh, God, I freaking love that, dude.
14 to 29, 6 extra base hits, 8 walks to 3 strikeouts, 2 stolen bases. I mean, Gregory Polanco is not a great baseball player, but he does the things that DK rewards. He's still a guy that will have double-digit steals and home runs at the end of the year if he plays every day.
Yeah, Carlos Martinez is also one of these guys that can get blown up by anyone. So I don't even hate using a mini Pittsburgh stack of Polanco, Moran,
Agreed. All right, next up, Miami against Washington. Look, we got both pitchers right here. Not interested in the offenses.
Agreed.
All right, against Kluber, if you're looking at Detroit, the guys I could get on board with would be Grossman leading off for 3,200. I'm not super, super excited about it. And even though he's also a shell of what he once was, just like his counterpart Kluber, Miggy has absolutely owned Kluber throughout his career. Now, I realize Miggy used to be a lot better, but guess what? Kluber also used to be a lot better.
It's all very true. I struggle to use my A spot on him here.
I agree. Look, man, I got no arguments with that. Miguel Cabrera he's a joke at this point in his career. It kind of sucks.
And it's also one thing with outfield because you got 2 others, right? You can pen down at first base, and a guy like Cabrera, that's a hard sell right now.
Look, man, no arguments here. As far as the Yankees go, I expect they get.
That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I like the Yankees here.
Yeah, they've been playing better recently. Stanton took the day off yesterday. It was a really interesting conversation. I don't know if you happened to catch it.
I did not.
During this game yesterday where the announcers were talking about how they couldn't believe that Stanton got the day off. You're like, you got the hottest hitter. This is the hottest Stanton's ever been. He's only DHing. Why is he getting a day off today? And then they had the analytics conversation versus the actual people who play baseball conversation, and how the analytics guys think that there's nothing to him having multiple hits 4 games in a row. that's just the way it randomly occurs. And the baseball guys arguing like, look, man, if you don't think there's anything to having 4 straight games with multiple hits and that's a random occurrence, then you just have never played the game before.
Yeah, that's silly.
I don't know. It's a fun, interesting conversation because as DFSers and baseball fans, like, there's definitely an overcorrection in baseball.
The analytics really say like there's absolutely nothing. I don't know. I'm asking.
Kind of.
There's nothing.
There's some guys that believe that, and I think that's foolish.
That's so stupid, in my opinion. Like, I don't think all guys into analytics believe that, though. Agreed?
No, of course not. But I do think we have overcorrected in sports right now, and I'm an analytics number guy. But we have overcorrected into sports and have forgotten sometimes that these are human beings. In baseball specifically, when you're playing well, the ball looks like a grapefruit. When you're playing terribly, like it seems like you walk to the plate down 0-2.
Yeah, exactly. Just because you can't, like, put your finger on exactly what it is doesn't mean it's not there.
All right. As far as the Yankees go today, is there anybody specifically you're into? I know LeMahieu is really starting to look the part again.
No, the one thing I'll say, like, Urena can get blown up, but he really gets crushed by lefties. So, like, this is not the worst spot for Urena. I just think that they have so much power, and they're going to be kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit today, in my opinion. But so many offenses will be. Not sure this is where I plant my flag. I like them, but not sure I plant.
Odor's coming in as real popular, although he is a little bit more expensive. One of these days, Torres is really just going to go off. He needs to get that first home run. I like the Yankees today, but they're not a top-end priority for me.
I like them. Sounds like slightly more than you, but no arguments.
Judge has really seen it well right now, too. So this is a guy that his upside is huge. I feel like I remember him having really big Sundays but in the Yankee Stadium, like over and over and over again, if you're looking for some of those good vibes.
That's a big reason I was drawn to the Yankees this morning. It's because, like, they've done me well in past, like, many times on Sundays. And, like, they're facing Urena at home. Like, it's hard not to have a little bit of interest.
And, like, every other year, Judge's numbers at home, it's early, but they're way better.
For sure.
He loves hitting at home. All right, let's move over to Atlanta against Toronto. I'm not into Ian Anderson like you are, but I'm not really into Toronto bats either. So, like, I'm not playing a chalky Springer today or anything like that.
Nah, I like Anderson much more than Toronto bats. I mean, their lineup's good, though, and they're in a great ballpark. So I get anyone that wants to go there, but that's not for me today for sure.
As far as, Atlanta goes, I think they'll be relatively popular today. So in cash games, they all make sense. And if you want to load up on them in tournaments and be different elsewhere, do your thing. It's not any specific bat from Atlanta that I love, but I do think they make a lot of sense today. Acuna will be overwhelming chalk again in cash games. If you want to play him, do your thing. Homered last night, so kind of got going with 2 hits as well. And now he's got a huge price drop today.
This is definitely one where I'm aware they could beat me, like, and it's risky to fade them, but there's no way they're going to be my priority. Like, at the highest owned team on the slate when they're not playing that well.
Yeah, in cash games, load up in Atlanta. In other spots, probably not.
Yeah, for me, I mean, obviously you can make a case. I mean, a strong case for them in tournament. If you like them, do your thing.
All right, we got Malley versus Williams. Both guys have pitched really, really well this year. I know Williams doesn't get the massive DFS numbers because he's not a huge strikeout pitcher, but take away the start against his former team, he's been really, really good. Not a game I'm specifically highly targeting for offense. How about you?
No, not really at all. Actually, not at all. So we can just move on if you want.
Okay. Tampa Bay against Houston. So I've already mentioned Tampa Bay is struggling. Javier's been awesome. If you don't want to throw Javier, I understand that, but I don't have any interest in the Tampa bats today.
I agree.
All right. Rich Hill. Interesting career. It's pretty good last start. Maybe this keeps me off of aggressively going with Houston. But I also don't mind some Houston bats.
Definitely don't mind some Houston bats at all. I mean, Bregman. These got premier lefty masters that are just better than Rich Hill.
Bregman's so cheap today at 4,700.
Yeah, I imagine he gets love. I mean, he should not be under 5K.
Yeah, I'm with you. My boy Gurriel, who is, again, quietly just one of the more underrated hitters in baseball, in my opinion.
He's rock solid.
And he's been maybe the most consistent Astro over the last couple of years. Not the upside of an Alex Bregman, Maybe not as electric as some of the other players, but he just kind of goes out and does his job every single day.
I would say he's been consistent for what he does, but like not as good as Alex Bregman.
No, Alex Bregman's a legit, arguably top 10 player in baseball.
There have been times where Yuli Gurriel's been hitting like 210, 215 over the past couple of years. Like he's not always been this consistent. At least in my, maybe I'm wrong. That's how I remember it.
The last year or two, he's been more consistent. Before
for
that,
sure.
But no, he's not nearly as good as Alex Bregman.
But yeah, I also think he's rock solid too. So I mean, he's a career 290 hitter. That's really good.
All right. Dodgers against Bettinger. Been watching a lot of the Dodgers lately. They are struggling. There's two ways to look at the intangible aspect of this last night, too. They're pissed and they come in today and play their best game, or they took a really deflating loss. They were up on the Brewers 5 times yesterday.
5 times?
That's hard to do when you lose 5-6. They kept getting a run in the Brewers. Maybe it was 4 times, actually. Let me correct that. 4 times. And blew the lead 4 different times, including in the bottom of the 11th, having multiple hitters down to 2 strikes and giving up hits.
Yeah, man, I definitely, I don't say this a lot in baseball, but I could definitely see this being one of those games where the Dodgers either really suck or they're amazing.
Right? Like that, you could see where this is like, you know what? We're the freaking champs.
Yeah,
it's time to put this is where the rubber meets the road. Let's put it down. Bets kind of got going yesterday. Let's represent who we are, or let's just be pathetic, lick our wounds, and then we'll start fresh on Monday.
Like you said, there's either like we're the champs, let's put our foot down, or we're the champs, we don't care, right? Like we have that malaise, like that World Series hangover. So I'm so with you. Like you could say that about any game, obviously, but I think there's real cases to be made for the Dodgers sucking today, but also like hitting 5 homers in the first inning.
I agree.
Because they are still really good. And I know that, I mean, even we would both say that they're probably the best offense in baseball.
Maybe not the best without Bellinger.
Okay, fair. But
really good still, nonetheless.
Really good still without Bellinger, for sure.
Yeah, you still have Muncy and Seager and everybody.
And Betts. Muncy has not looked good.
Oh. So, knowing that there's 2 extremes in our mind on this game, I think there's a good opportunity for me just not to use either.
I get it. The case for Bettinger is so real, and the fact that he's so cheap. The Dodgers, how much love do you think the Dodgers get?
Some. I don't know if it's overwhelming. I mean, they've been off for a while now, and in the DFS world, people can be fickle, and when you haven't done anything for a while, people lose a little bit of luster, not all of it.
So I lean Bettinger, and there's one reason. Like, if you use Bettinger, it allows you to use any offense on the slate. I think the Dodgers, you're putting yourself in that Dodgers hole where they could be really good. They might not be really good.
It's also entirely possible that the Dodgers run a slightly watered down lineup today. Like I could see Muncy get the day off. I could see Turner with the day off.
To your point about them not being the best with Bellinger out, their offense is their lineup. Man, they got holes with Bellinger out, big holes. They got guys that shouldn't even be in the big leagues right now. Edwin Rios has been awful. They got Beatty. I mean, Pollock is nothing special. Their lineup's still really good, don't get me wrong, but Bellinger is a big, big loss for them.
All of that being said, if I were to play one guy from the Dodgers today, I would sell my soul for Mookie Betts. Go Mookie Betts over Acuna in GPPs, for example. Betts is, we all know, one of the best players in baseball. And he'd been, a little off for, much of the year. This is not his usual numbers, but he did have 2 hits, including a leadoff home run yesterday and a walk. That could be a jumping off point for, a former MVP.
Yeah, my favorites are definitely Betts and Seager, the 1-2, if they're in the lineup, of course. And then Will Smith, who hit a triple, I think, in a pinch hit appearance last night. He's just good.
So I was watching this game, and I knew Will Smith was going to get a hit because they had this guy out there, Rasmussen, and he threw way too many pitches because the bullpen was beyond taxed at this point. And he wasn't throwing anything off speed. And you could just watch Will Smith in a 9-pitch at bat just start lining up this fastball. I'm like, this is a guaranteed hit. I've never felt more confident that somebody was going to get a hit in my entire life. And there he goes. Finally, like every pitch, you can see him getting better and better on the fastball. And you just knew it.
That's funny because I don't know if you saw this, but 2 days ago, Senzatella versus Arizona. It might have been 3 days ago by now. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I know you know what I'm talking about. In the first inning, he had an at-bat with Escobar. I don't know if you saw it. It was like a 10-pitch at-bat, and after the count was like 2-2, like 2-1, the next 6 pitches were like hard foul balls. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, if he connects and Senzatella throws just a layup, like it's going to be gone. He ended up like just missing, but kind of exactly what you talked about.
All right, guys. As far as the Brewers go, obviously we're not trying to stack against Urias. If you're looking for a one-off, it ain't Keston here. I'm a huge fan. He is as off could be. They're not playing his off days right either. Like, I don't understand what they're doing with him. Like, he finally got a late triple a couple days ago. You're like, okay, this could be a nice jumping off point for him. And then they take him out of the lineup the next day. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Don't play him, in my opinion.
No.
He looks so off. The only guy that I have any real interest in from Milwaukee, well, Tyron Taylor too, but would be Avi Garcia, who had a big, he's been struggling, but he's a pretty decent hitter. He's got some speed. He ran yesterday. He can hit for power. He's good against lefties. And he had 2 hits yesterday. Now, one was an infield single, but he hit the ball hard in the 11th to help kind of push this game along. That could be a monkey off the back type of moment, and he's 2,800. That's about it.
For sure. For me, I actually like Urias more than the Milwaukee offense.
Oh, so, God, yes.
On a normal slate, Urias would be in play. This one, probably not, although I don't think it's the craziest play in the world.
No, not at all. Milwaukee strikes out a plenty. And while Urias has a lot of these games where he's uninspiring, when he's on, he's very capable of 10Ks here.
Exactly. Like, it's hard to bet on that on this slate, but he has that upside.
All right, so I'm not personally interested in Lucas Giolito today. I understand it if you are, but I'm also really not trying to get to Cleveland.
Nah, same.
How about the White Sox against Zach Plesac, who's been struggling recently?
Yeah, he has not been great this year. He has faced the White Sox twice recently also. I think the White Sox are more in play than Plesac.
Oh, I agree. They've blown out twice now.
Yeah, I do respect Plesac, but man, the White Sox look kind of interesting here.
And who's been on fire the last couple of days? Well, fire is a stretch, but he's played well recently is Tim Anderson, who, as you can see by his game log, power and speed. He does the things that DK rewards. He has 3 hits over the last 2 days, but 20 points in each game.
They are really expensive.
Which will probably keep people off of him. Like, if you were going to go with Bettinger, this is an offense you could actually get to.
Yeah, you're so right about that.
So, I'm not jumping in with 2 feet here.
Same.
But you got Luis Robert, decent player. Abreu has not had a great follow-up to his MVP season, but at any given day, we know what he can do.
He's under 5K now.
Yeah, Anderson's been really good. I know you're a big Moncada fan. He's very affordable at 4,400.
You're right. Actually, Anderson's really the only really expensive one.
Yeah, and I like Tim Anderson because he's an underrated player.
He's really underrated. Go ahead.
He does the things that DK gives you points for. He hits for power and he steals bases.
Well, why isn't he considered in the Bo Bichette, like that tier?
It's a good question. I don't know.
He's good, man. He led the AL in hitting last year. Like, besides the power and speed you're talking about, he led the AL in batting average.
Let's just bring this up so people have a real reference point of what Tim Anderson has done over the last couple of seasons. So he's batted over 300 now. He's currently batting over 300 for the 3rd straight year. He won the batting title in 2019, batted 322 last year, 7th in the MVP voting, Silver Slugger. He's got, 17 plus home runs in the 3 seasons prior to last year where you weren't going to hit 17 plus in a shortened COVID season. He steals bases. I mean, he's a good DFS player.
Great DFS player. I think he's a really good real life player.
Yeah, I think he's like, I don't think he gets a lot of love today.
I do too. Like, this is going to sound so crazy, especially because, I would never say this last year, but and why is Francisco Lindor so much better than Tim Anderson? Like, he's a better fielder, but Lindor has been awful the past year.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. All right, let's head on over to Minnesota against Keller, which is another spot that, I'm going to be a little bit interested. Also, the Royals have good numbers off Barrios. I don't really want to like load up on the Royals, but there could be more offense here than anticipated. And specifically interested in the Minnesota side. We know that
Same.
Buxton's got insane upside, right?
Yeah, as far as before I took to Minnesota, I was actually thinking Brewers played in the Royals. It sounds like you feel the opposite.
I'll probably just abstain.
Fair enough.
But they have like a lot of times when I look through like BVP numbers, it's one thing to look for individual matchups. I also look for teams who have like a track record of success against somebody in their division. And the Royals have a team batting average of 311 against Barrios, an OPS of 900, slugging 500. O'Hearn, Carlos Santana, Whit Merrifield, Benintendi, Soler, all these guys have good numbers off of him. So is he capable of flipping the script on them today? Of course. But I'm just probably going to abstain from either side.
I agree. Definitely more interested in a couple Royals bats after looking at that for sure. But my main interest is in Minnesota here. They're all in play. They're kind of expensive, so maybe that cuts into their love.
I think it will. And that goes right back to the Bettinger point from, the Brewers. If you wanted to get there, like Buxton is expensive, but he's awesome. And he's playing awesome.
I think they're my favorite stack on the board.
Okay. Cruz helped me yesterday. I had one of my best lineups of the year yesterday during the day, and Cruz's late home run was a big help.
Sweet.
We know how good he is. And the other guy, Polanco, who's a good baseball player, but has struggled this year. He's starting to see the ball a lot better now. He's got hits now in 3 straight games, including a multi-hit game on Friday. I don't think he's a lock of locks, but nobody will use him at 5,100.
Same, and I got one he might be even lower on that's also hitting the ball. Yep. He's also starting to see the ball better. And we know he's gone through stretches before where he's been good. So, yeah. I like the whole stack. You can use everyone in their lineup. They kind of sat guys yesterday also. So I think you'll see Garver right back in there. They're real expensive. I like them a lot.
This will keep people off of them for sure. And I bet you there's a lot of people who will look through this slate and be like, I like Minnesota, but they're way too expensive.
Amen.
So, and then Kirilloff again, on fire, 3K.
Dual position. Popular.
Oh, I'm sure he will be. All right, next up, Texas against Boston. So we had an interesting conversation about Garrett Richards last time out. It was fun.
Good.
We were kind of going back and forth about him and Quintana. And then I messaged you, these guys legit have, the exact same one-loss record, ERA, and whip. They are the same guy. I thought that was freakily coincidental.
The problem with Richards is, like you said, he can't stay healthy.
Yeah. He was really good last game. And Texas is a premier matchup. I know Erod was trash last night, but that doesn't influence what Garrett Richards does today. I'm not buying in enough yet to throw him, but I can't imagine he gets a lot of attention. And Texas is, I think, number 1 in Ks per 9. We know their offense isn't great, so he's a little intriguing as we just completely bypassed him in discussing pitching.
For me personally, I think a couple Texas bats are more in play. And I get it. Richards was really good last time out, but Willie Calhoun potentially leading off.
Sure, he'll be popular today too because he's a pretty good baseball player leading off.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to stack Texas here, but Richards, it's hard for me to get to on the slate. That said, you're right. He's coming off a really, really good start. I don't love going to these guys coming off outlier performances, though. So, I'm not going to stack Texas. Probably a game I kind of just abstain from. And what about the Boston stack? I see kind of a couple days ago, man, their top stack percentage is really high and their ownership share is really low. The biggest discrepancy on the slate.
So we got we got 2 veteran pitchers in this game that you're still trying to figure out who they are. Garrett Richards is obviously quite a bit older than Mike Foltynewicz, but these are guys with really high points of their career and have had injuries that you can't really tell who they are. The thing we know about Foltynewicz, last start excluding, is he's been giving up a lot of power. And there's one guy that I think, to me, I'm probably not all out stacking Boston today, but I am real interested in Rafael Devers. Lefty power against Foltynewicz. 4 straight games with an extra base hit, and a point that you like to make. He's also really good.
Yeah, this is something I've been saying for years, 4 or 5, even when they're not playing, even when their team is not very good, it's still one of the best in baseball. When Martinez, Devers, and Bogarts are all, swinging it well. And they're all swinging it well this year.
So I like Devers a lot today. Lefty power against Foltynewicz. We talked about Verdugo yesterday. He had a very blah game. I could go back there. I wouldn't hate Verdugo again.
4 straight games of a walk. Like, he's good.
Yeah, he's, again, reasonably affordable. I think he's another, slightly underrated player.
Yeah.
I probably don't end up on JD today. You can only play so many high-priced bats, and I think I'd rather get to, like, Buxton.
I agree, but, like, I could see myself, like, if, I don't know, this is where I'm going to go, but, like, if Minnesota and Boston are my 2 teams, like, using each once.
Yeah, and I could definitely see, like you said, you want to do, like, a Devers, Martinez, Bogart stack, or you want to throw in, Verdugo in there, too. I can see that as something you hit up one time. Fultonevich has been, I don't even know how to describe him this year. I don't even know what the right words are. Like, he's had some moments where he looked like he might be getting back, and he's had some moments where he's been giving up a ton of power. So I don't really know who he is yet.
I don't either. And I agree. I don't want to sell my soul on Boston, but, like, you could do a lot worse than getting some exposure to those 3 guys in particular.
Well, you think about it, like, who are we really intrigued by from offenses today? Boston, a little bit. We both like Minnesota. A little interest in the White Sox as well. We talked about the Dodgers. Some interest in Houston. Not this game. Atlanta's chalk. Some Yankees. So it's not like there's tons of spots that we love offensively.
No, I do think that it's spread out outside of Atlanta.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Atlanta will be the most popular offense on this one.
Like, they're going to be so concentrated. So I'm basically, they're just one I'm not going to use. You can obviously use them, and you can use one-offs, and they're just not going to be the team that I personally plant my flag on today.
Yeah, and I think we all know this by now, that you're a very contrarian player, and you might like Atlanta, but not enough that, like, you can't get away from them.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely.
Which I get. We talked about Minnesota against Brad Keller. So this is another one. Keller has been, nothing short of awful this year. It was a little better last time out, but he went against Detroit, so I don't give that much of anything.
We know he's better than that. That's my only worry with Minnesota.
Yeah. Keller is a guy that's a lot better than these numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I still like Minnesota a lot, though.
So do I, but this is why, like, if I ran a 3-entry max today, I wouldn't stack Minnesota 3 times and just be like, this is where I'm planting my flag, and nothing else is getting any attention.
You wouldn't do that?
No, I wouldn't go, like, 3-entry max and 3 Minnesota stacks.
I have no arguments for that at all.
So I like them, but I'm more likely to pick out
the players you like from them.
Yeah, a couple different teams. Like, I always like Buxton. Why? Because he's kind of entered the conversation as the highest upside play in DFS. Along with the Acuñas and, Mookie Betts when he's rolling. Why? Because he's got good power and good speed.
I think yesterday was the only time I used him all year.
Buxton?
Yep.
He's going to have some games where he doesn't play well because he's a baseball player, but, got a 26, a 19, and a 37 over his past 8 games. He's a high upside guy.
Oh, yeah.
So, he's no lock. And that 408 batting average will dip along with the 1,300 OPS. But if he stays healthy all year, bats near the top of this lineup, and he could be a 30-30 guy, no problem.
I agree.
So, any last little bits of stuff you like here?
No, I'll get it all on the write-up. Nice slate, though. Fun Sunday slate. I think the Sunday slates are my favorite of the year.
Yeah, I know you like the Sundays. I like this one too.
Like, the other thing is, like, I love, like, all the games start between, basically 1 and 3 Eastern. They're all over by, like, dinner time. It's just, they're all on at the same. There's just something about Sunday baseball that gets me.
What do you think Acuña's ownership is today? Like, I would guess 60 in cash and 40 in GPPs.
Same. Even last night he was like 50 in GPPs. The less people hire dollar tournaments, he's going to be higher owned. So, yeah, I think you could see him. So he'll be somewhere between 40 and 60 in tournaments, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we always like Ronald Acuña. He's awesome. And this price tag down below, like, he was 6K yesterday in chalk. I know it was a smaller slate, but, like, he's going to be chalk today for sure.
Definitely. And he could go out and have a monster game because he's going to be chalk for a reason. He's really, really good. But
he's a tough guy to get away from in cash games because he can ruin a slate by himself at that ownership.
He's been a cash hard recommend 3 straight days in a row, and today will be a fourth.
Yeah, it's just hard not to just use him because, especially at this price tag, knowing how popular he's going to be.
So will Christian Pache, who was in last night, hit a grand slam. If he's back in there at 2K, he'll be popular in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that. I had him in my lineup originally and took him out for somebody that changed it around, but I don't think it would have mattered because Erod was god awful. So was Gallen.
I used Dustin May, who left and got hurt. I actually had one lineup, my best lineup, because I wanted to get all bats, and I had a lineup with Betts and Trout, was Jordan Lyles and Austin Gomber. And Gomber was actually good for the slate.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about the 4 pitchers we liked, and the only one who wasn't god awful was Woodruff, and he wasn't good either. I think he only had like 16 points.
Right, exactly. No one was good.
Well, Griffin Canning was good.
Canning. Yep, I knew you were going to say that. He was really good.
We were wrong. Griffin was right. He's good looking. We're unattractive. That was a hell of a start by him.
I said that last night when we were out to dinner, and they got a kick out of it.
Did you get any damage last night? I know you love the Angel stack. Was it?
I did. I had one lineup that was solid, nothing crazy at all. But the problem was, again, I had May in like almost all my lines. There's only one without May, and again, he wasn't. Most of the pitchers weren't great, but yeah, I just had one lineup with the right pieces. Because also, like, the Angels were really good, Walsh in particular, but Springer homered twice. You know what I mean? Like, other guys.
Oh, yeah.
So, there was no, like, damage done. But one lineup brought most of my money back, which is always nice.
Awesome. Well, we'll let you guys get going so you can set your lineups. Good luck today.
Thanks, guys.